Stafford over the middle, firing in traffic. It's caught for the touchdown.
Firing for the end zone.
Ball. The Golden Tate for the first down and dives to the end zone.
Hey, Blue Kool-Aid drinkers, we are back. It is May 14th, 7:14 p.m. We were recording this, and we are going to be going through the 2020 schedule. The NFL just released the 2020 schedule, and it's going to go on as planned, apparently, so we'll see. But we'll get into it shortly here. But joining us here, as always, is the Blue Kool-Aid Krew. So we got Bob, Rud Dog,
Yo,
UJ,
hey,
and Connor.
what up?
Whoa.
Where'd that come from?
Connor,
I don't know. Just trying to shake it up. You're all so enthusiastic all the time.
if you're listening to this on a podcast, this is our first attempt at recording this through Zoom. So we're gonna try to bring you some audio as well and mess with YouTube going forward here, possibly for some cool stuff we can bring you going forward as well, especially in the off season here to keep you entertained. Because God knows we need some good entertainment, especially related to Detroit Lions football going forward here. We got a big lull in our schedules right now, so we'll see how it goes. But the NFL releasing their schedule for 2020. We'll be getting into that shortly. But the first thing I want to get to, guys, is just how this schedule is going to work. So this schedule is the NFL's. The season's going to go on as normal. There's going to be no London games. The Lions are supposed to play Jacksonville, London this year. That's not going to happen. So would you guys rather play in Jacksonville, or would you rather play in London?
Insignificant, inconsequential.
London for sure. That game's awesome.
Yeah, I like the London game too myself.
I like when it's the early game in London. You wake up, you watch the game, and then you can go on with your day. You know,
that's true. I do like that.
I like it because I had a bunch of you guys over in the past. I think the last time they played was the Chiefs. that wasn't good. But before that, there was a good one against the Falcons. That was a wild game. But I had a lot of people over in the morning. We had a nice pancake and sausage and big old brunch in the morning. So I was looking forward to that again, but that's not going to happen. So, but
they really should get Brit announcers for those games, though. Seriously, with the accents and everything, I think that'd be way cooler.
They should get the soccer announcers like touchdown, yeah, going crazy.
Oh yeah. But so what's going to happen here if the season doesn't start on schedule because of the coronavirus? What's going to happen there? So the Lions play the Bears week 1 at home and then at Green Bay week 2. Say those games don't happen, like they delay the start. Say they start to delay the season though. Week 3 would then become week 1. And those week 1 and week 2 games will just be pushed to the end of the schedule. So that becomes week 18 game and week 19 game, essentially.
Are you just trying to stress everyone out, Big Z, and piss us off? I don't want to think about that.
So even though the Lions, for the first time in like 5 years, aren't playing Green Bay in the last game of the season, if the season started in week 3, they could be playing Green Bay in the last week of the season yet again.
Yeah, that's right.
So it'll be interesting to It'll be interesting to see how that all goes. And, I mean, that could be up to, like, week 5. They can just keep extending it out because they said the Super Bowl, which is on February 7th, can be extended by several weeks. So that's kind of the stipulations going around with the schedule currently.
We are very much due to beat Green Bay the last game of the season. I mean, how many times it's like...
That'd be awesome if we win the Super Bowl in the summer, like if it gets delayed that much. And
yeah.
That would be cool.
Like,
yeah, I mean, this is like all set up to be played like around St. Patrick's Day. So.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that'd be dangerous.
If we're drinking a bunch of Kool-Aid the week of the Lions Super Bowl and then St. Patrick's Day the week after, it's going to be a very unhealthy month.
This just in: all Blue Kool-Aid drinkers die of alcohol poisoning due to St. Patrick's Day and the Super Bowl, which the Lions won on the same day. Yeah, that would be awesome, though.
Yeah, the Lions could pull out some green uniforms, so it'd be cool. For the Super Bowl.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Honolulu blue and green.
Little leprechaun mascot running around.
It can look kind of like this. Like my the military version, the what do they call it? Salute to service.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go through the Detroit Lions schedule right here. Oh wait, there's one more thing I wanted to bring up before we get into the schedule, and I just wanted to see what your guys' opinion was on it. So the NFL could potentially lose $120 to $200 million a week is the estimate right now if there are no fans in the stands on a weekly basis. So what the NFL has proposed is that they put logos on the front of the uniform to try to make up some of that ad revenue. I don't know. It's not going to make up for that amount of money, but it's some additional revenue that wasn't there before. I would guess the Lions would get Ford on their jerseys. It seems almost too obvious.
I think
but
it works that
yeah.
way. They already have it at the stadium.
But first of all, I want to get your guys' opinion. And we'll start with you, UJ. Just on your opinion, do you think the logo thing would be okay if it's just for 1 year? Or
I think I don't see any problem with
it.
it. I mean, I understand the lost revenue and trying to make up for it. I don't want them to start looking like race car drivers, though. With patches and stuff all over their uniforms and stuff. That'll look be crazy. I think we got to keep it simple, though. But no, I don't have a problem with them doing that, trying to make up for lost revenue. Not at all.
Yeah, but Rud Dog, your problem is that if they do it for 1 year, they're not going to go away from it.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I understand it. I understand they're going to want to find that new revenue stream to make up for it, but the thing about revenue streams is they have a pesky way of sticking around once they're discovered. I mean, just because things go back to normal and they're making all that money with fans in the stands, I just don't see them. If this does actually generate them with a decent amount of revenue next year, if things go back to normal, I totally will see them sticking around, and I don't like the prospect of it. I'd rather they don't. I feel like it's a slippery slope, as they say.
Bob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't mind it for 1 year, but like you guys are saying, I wouldn't want it to keep going forward. And one thing about revenue streams that I learned from Ghostbusters: never cross the streams.
Good point, Bob. That's a good point. Always listen to Ghostbusters for wisdom.
And Connor, let's get your opinion on it to finish this off.
Yeah, I don't know. I was sad when the NBA did it. I'm terrified the NHL is going to do it. So I think I'd rather skip it because I do think they would never go away once they're there. So I think they can survive 1 year without that extra revenue myself. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like something both owners and players would be for, just to throw additional money in the pot. It seems like they're always for that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why it won't go away next year. Like, more money on. Why would they get rid of it? Unless it hurts the bottom line.
Yeah, so I mean that'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. So my let's just for fun go around really quick. My prediction is if they get a logo, it'll be Ford or Little Caesars, I guess. If I had to pick, I'd say Ford. It seems almost too obvious, but let's just go around the horn really quick.
So
UJ.
it's only one logo though. Just
Hey, Bob, what's the name of that hot dog place we went to in Detroit that everyone goes to?
Lafayette.
Lafayette. They're gonna put Lafayette.
Yeah. Oh, that would be
they
amazing.
should put on there.
That would be
I don't know if
awesome.
Lafayette could afford it, but that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So Rud Dog.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I don't know. Ford, I guess. Hopefully none, but that does seem too obvious. Why wouldn't you advertise your own?
Yeah, UJ, I like what you're saying though. Give it like local sponsors, like Lions, sponsored by the Old Shillelagh Pub. I mean, or something.
Exactly. That would be awesome, man.
I like that better.
That'd be cool.
Like Little League
businesses
jerseys, like the Ford dealer on the back, the local.
Hey, if we're gonna
dealer.
do it, man, let's do it. Yeah. Hey, great. That'd be awesome.
I have a question for Bob and Connor though. What if they go with American? Isn't American the other?
That wouldn't be right.
That wouldn't be right.
Jackie, if the Lions are smart, they're not going to go with American. They're going to go with
What if
Lafayette.
they do? Would you guys be okay
Well,
with
just shun the thought.
Yes.
I don't know. I know people question ownership, but that would really make me question ownership if they go with American.
And then they should have the waiter in the crowd serving people, and he'll just ask them what they want. He'll remember it.
Yeah.
They'll bring it back to their seats.
Right.
Only if it's Lafayette, though, Dad.
All right, guys. So let's get into the 2020 schedule. What we're going to do, and UJ brought this up right before. I liked it. is that we're going to break it down just like Matt Patricia likes to do in terms of how to break down a season, and he likes to do it in month. Is it month by month or in fours?
I think
Quarters.
it's in
Yeah.
quarters.
So he likes
In
to do it in
quarters.
quarters. So what we're going to do,
Segments,
I'm going to bring up 4 games. We're going to talk about each of those 4 games, talk about how it impacts us. So we're going to do this assuming as well that the season goes on as scheduled. So the opening day is September 13th this year, for the Lions at least. And they will be at home against the Bears. And then the week after, they will be at Green Bay. And then they will be at Arizona again. Seems to be a yearly ritual at this
So
point.
if
that
we
they
get the
travel.
delay, we could start the season with Arizona again.
Yeah.
Oh, please don't delay.
And then they're at home.
God.
And then they are at home against the New Orleans Saints. And so that's the first 4 weeks of the season. I'm just going to start this off here is that I love going against the Bears. First game of the year. They're 0-4 under Patricia against the Bears. Mitch Trubisky, as much as we hate the guy, and he plays like shit against everybody else. He's actually played it's 3 of his 4 highest rated games are against the Detroit Lions in his career. But I like the fact that he might not even be the starter. It might be Nick Foles, and I really like that matchup. And then going at Green Bay, a possible 2-0 start in first place in the division would be a tremendous way to quiet everybody about any qualms they may have about the Lions. So I really like the beginning of this schedule.
Yeah, I like it
Yeah,
too.
I agree.
I like opening with a division game. 2 division games. So if you get a strong start, you're in a really good position. And
Oh yeah.
I like it a lot. Opening against the Bears, it'd be sweet.
Yeah, me too. That's great.
Yeah, I feel very strongly that we would have beat the Bears if we had Stafford for both games. So knowing for a fact he'll be healthy makes me feel really good about week 1.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any thoughts about going to Green Bay week 2?
I love it,
Well,
especially at
Nice to get it
Green
out of the
Bay.
way early.
Plus,
you don't have to
I
worry
mean,
about
yeah,
the frozen tundra
True.
at that point in
I
the
mean,
season.
I just love the first 3 games, especially. I mean, division games are always tough. It doesn't matter how good teams are that year; they're always tough. And then and then the Saints with our 3rd game. I just love how grueling the first 3 games of the season. And then of course the Cardinals. They've become like a divisional team against us. So yeah, I love it. Get a nice punch in the face, punch in the gut, get us started off, and wake up call right away. Hopefully we handle it well.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, we talk a lot about the Bears and the Packers here, but yeah, that second half of this first 4 games, the Cardinals, and then at home against the Saints. I love that home game that we get a home game against the Saints. They're a completely different team on the road. That'll definitely be a challenge. This is the return of Joe Lombardi into Ford Field.
The long-awaited return.
Yeah.
Too bad he's not the head coach. Be a free win.
He's still he is where he belongs, a quarterback coach on the New Orleans Saints. He doesn't have to do much work.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a good challenge, though, I think, because I mean the Cardinals, we should beat them, but they're a team on the rise. I think with Kyler Murray, and they've got some new weapons coming in with the draft. I think they're going to be a tough game, but I think we should win. But it's an interesting challenge. And then the Saints, I like having it at home. So
I love this. You know what I'm looking forward to in these first 4 matchups? So week 1, Okudah against Allen Robinson. Week 2, Okudah against Devontae Adams. Week 3, Okudah against DeAndre Hopkins. Week 4, Okudah against Michael Thomas. If you talk about a challenge right there, assuming that he's the one trailing him because he'll be the number 1 cornerback. But either way,
I was gonna say, you
secondary
think
will
they're
get a test really fast with those receivers.
I think they're just gonna match him up with the top receivers from day one.
I want that.
I could
personally.
see it. I could see it.
I could see it happening.
I mean, he's already their number 1 cornerback, like unquestionably.
I mean, Trufant has some decent years
we'll
under
see.
his belt.
Yeah,
he's untested. I'm sure they'll
He's
roll
still a
help to
rookie,
him
boys.
if he needs it. But
Hopefully I hope you're right, Connor, but I don't know if we're established there yet. But
I look at the Cardinals
but
game
that's-
too as like a revenge game. That game really hurt us tying that game last year, and
oh god,
I mean that was it felt like a defeat. It almost felt worse than a defeat.
it was a blight.
I
on the
look at it as
season.
actually a revenge game, even though it's not revenging a loss. It's revenging a tie if there is such a thing. But I think it's an important game, and the Lions are going to want to make up for last year's tie.
Oh yeah, and and another thing with this this schedule that I'm reading out is the Lions have the 5th toughest schedule in the NFL coming into the season, tied for 5th toughest. So,
I like it.
I mean,
Doesn't matter.
This initial schedule is pretty tough.
The only thing I don't like about it that it's not the number 1 toughest schedule.
So if the Lions are 2-2 through this first 4 games, are you okay with that? Are you disappointed?
Well, I'd be
Disappointed?
disappointed.
I'm okay with it. I'm definitely disappointed though.
If we're not 4-0, I'm gonna be disappointed. So
All right. So I'm kind of doing this on the fly. Do we want to do predictions by quarter here, or do we want to just do all our predictions at the end?
we can do it by
Let's do them at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I say do them at the end.
All right, we'll save them for the end. So let's get to the second part of the schedule here. So the Lions get yet again 2 years in a row a really early bye, week 5 bye. I'm not a fan of that at all.
Me neither.
I don't like that they did it 2 years in a row though. It's fine if you switch off, I guess, but doing it 2 years in a row kind of.
The only thing I like about it is it makes it harder to get to the Super Bowl.
I guess that's okay. Yeah.
I want, I want them to have the hardest season possible. So when they get to the playoffs, they're just freaking battle-hardened warriors, ready to take on anybody. That's the way I see it.
Okay. So Jacksonville, week 6 at Jacksonville, then at Atlanta, week 7, and then home against the Indianapolis Colts, week 8. So that's the second part of the schedule here. This is where I see the Lions taking advantage mostly of their.
Didn't you
schedule.
say? Did you say the Vikings? Isn't the Vikings week 8?
Yeah, Vikings.
Yeah.
You week 8, but we're on
Game
the
8.
bye. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry about that.
This is the 7th game of the season, but this is
Okay.
week 8. So bye
Gotcha.
Jacksonville, Atlanta, Indianapolis.
I mean week
so.
9, but
And the Vikings.
Yeah, we'll throw in the Vikings. So at Jacksonville, at Atlanta, home against Indianapolis, at Minnesota. So the Lions playing 6 of their first are playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the
6.
first 8 games on the road.
Yeah, which I personally like that. We get those out of the way early because then we finish with 3 out of 4 home games at the end. And
Yeah,
I like
like
waiting
that
it up front.
a lot.
Yeah, I like that. When the games really matter, like it's going to be important. Assuming there's fans at any of these games, it may not matter.
We never have more than 2 road games in a row anyway, so it's not too bad. I mean,
Yeah. And Jacksonville and Atlanta are pretty close, so I don't know if they fly. They probably do fly back and then fly down again, but
well, they might be
I
saving
like the
money taking a bus.
I love the matchup against Jacksonville, even though I'm a big fan of Gardner Minshew, at least personality-wise.
is he
I think
that
that guy's entertaining as hell.
Is he going to be the starter for sure?
Yes, they have not signed another quarterback since.
Oh, okay.
So
Minshew mania.
and then they are at Atlanta. Matt Stafford and Matt Ryan, best buds in Georgia there, battling out. Did you guys see Atlanta has an entire offense of either they're all first rounders. They're all drafted in the first round. That's pretty wild.
Wow.
That'll suck for them to lose to us then.
Literally all 11 positions, first rounders. That's pretty wild. You don't see that.
Should
too
they get a
much.
cookie for that?
I don't know what the odds are of that happening, but that's crazy.
That is crazy.
And then home against the Colts. I like that matchup as well. The Colts are like just an okay team to me, especially Philip.
Yeah, we'll
Rivers.
see with Philip
They got a
Rivers.
38-year-old quarterback they're relying on who was terrible last year. People think it was the offensive line, but
He's gonna have a lot better O-line this year.
I think the Colts will be a good fit for him, actually.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do pretty well there.
Well, we beat them last year. Well, we beat Rivers last year, so.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
We won't have Slay to pick him off though at the end.
Yeah, we'll have Okuda this year.
Slay, he did get that pick at the end, but that wasn't a great game for him up until that point.
No, he got pretty much owned till the end there. But, that's what
the
the
only
good
play
players
that
do.
matters.
Good
Still
players
didn't give
have
up
bad
100
days.
yards though. I think that's overplayed, but that's me.
What was that, Connor? I know you wanted to throw something in there.
I think I made my point about Philip Rivers, or did I? have another point?
Okay. Yep, just making sure.
Maybe not.
And then,
I don't know.
And then this is the one, this is the one that always gets us. The Lions snuck out one that one year where Matt Prater made a 56-yard field goal and sent it to overtime. Then Golden Tate won. But the Lions in Minnesota struggle mightily. I think they have one win in the last 10 years there. It is always brutal. So if they can get a win there in midseason, that would be absolutely huge.
Plus, I think that team is really good this year. I mean, I think where their roster is, they're going to be the favorite for that division for the North. So,
and they had
besides the Lions, of course,
15 draft picks this year.
Because the media knows nothing, Bob.
That's right. I mean, Kirk Cousins lit up the Lions, at least at Ford Field last year. Unfortunately, what was the final score? Like 42-28. They were trading touchdowns for a while.
I really felt like it was Keenan Allen lit up.
Yeah. Well, our defense was terrible last year too.
This is the Vikings.
I thought you said Philip Rivers. Sorry.
No, Kirk Cousins and the Vikings.
Yeah, we've performed poorly against them for so long. It's time to turn that trend around.
Yeah. So the second part of the schedule is where the Lions got to start really ramping it up, especially coming off that bye week. This is where we got to see improvements from those first 4 games, and then we're coming down to the first part of the second half of the season here. So week 9 will be home against the Redskins, so a little revenge game against them, if you will. Then at Carolina, home against Houston for the Thanksgiving game, the only nationally televised game the Lions will be a part of this year.
NFL is going to regret that this year. I expect flex games by the end of the year.
Yeah, well, they'll be flexed later in the year to Monday night, so you don't have to worry about that.
And then they are at Chicago in early December, which always seems like they're in Chicago late November, early December. It always seems to be the case.
It'll be cold that day too, trust me.
Yep.
Yeah. That last game we went to, I couldn't feel my feet.
I was at that game too. My God, was it cold. But
yeah, anyway. So I mean, what do we think about this second? I'm a huge fan of this part of the schedule. I think this works out really well for the Lions. Washington, I mean, they have a really good defensive line especially after drafting Chase Young, who we wanted so badly. But they still have Dwayne Haskins, and they have not added any. They actually lost their left tackle, Trent Williams. They haven't added anybody on the offensive line. They haven't added any wide receivers. And then at Carolina, they just got rid of Cam Newton. Luke Kuechly just retired. They're a team that's rebuilding. Houston, they just traded DeAndre Hopkins for nothing.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
One of the more inexplicable moves you'll see in the NFL. That's what happens when you let a coach be the GM, I guess. And then at Chicago, a team that we all believe is very beatable, especially after our opinions on the opening game of the season. The Lions, I could completely see going 4-0 here. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
it's very
I also agree with that. Hopefully we're still in contention when the second part heats up, because I feel like this is when we're really going to start racking it up. It's the second half of the schedule here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bob,
what
we get
do you think of these 4 games?
Yeah, the Redskins. I mean, we lost to them last year, but that was they seemed very beatable. That was more on us than them, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, we could win these 4 games and go into those final 3 out of 4 at home. I like it.
Oh yeah, and I just like Washington and Carolina. These two are not expected to do well. Their rosters don't match up to ours in terms of talent, I believe. So I really like those 2 games. I also look forward to, should Matt Stafford go take a selfie before he takes a knee if they're up by a significant amount against the Redskins, just like Dwayne Haskins did last year.
Doesn't sound like his style, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't think it's his style.
I kind of forgot that even happened. I almost forgot Dwayne Haskins existed, to be honest. He's kind of boring.
Wait, that makes me bring up something actually now that we brought up Stafford really quick. And Connor, I think you shared it with us. Connor, Matt Stafford has been doing these things with TJ Lang for weeks.
Yeah,
maybe even for years. Maybe Connor, you want to explain?
Bamboozled. So TJ Lang had Stafford on, and he's like, "Hey, Stafford, I bet you can't do this random ass really long long division problem." Stafford's like, "Yeah, sure, just give me 2 random numbers And then like TJ Lang like lists off like 522 divided by like 12,000, whatever. And Stafford thinks about it for like 10 seconds. Then he's like, here's the answer. And TJ Lang's like, no way, man. And then he holds up the calculator. Well, it was revealed today that that whole thing was faked, that TJ Lang just texted him the answer. And he's like, come on, man. Do you think if I was a math whiz, it would have taken you 11 years to figure it out? Like, that's on you guys. I'm like, damn, he's right. Like, that is on us. Like, I should have known that wasn't real. So I can't get mad at Stafford, but I'm like, come on, man. Like, bamboozled us there.
I kind of wish he didn't say it. Like, give people some hope that he had this math problem.
I literally texted that to Bears fans I know at work, and I'm like, that's my quarterback. Like, Trubisky could never. And now I look like a fool.
The only reason I halfway believed it is because I had a math teacher in high school that could do multiplication like that. It was incredible. I don't know how he did it. He did it with the number 9, and I thought Stafford knew that trick. But obviously it was a ruse. But it was funny. It was good.
Wait, UJ, if you're Trubisky and I ask you, what's like 10 times 10? How would he answer that?
Hold on. It's 10.
All right. I started to get that. Thanks, Mitch.
I don't know.
You tried your hardest, Mitch. You tried your hardest. All righty, guys. So let's wrap up this schedule before we get into our predictions. So the Lions wrap up the season at home against Green Bay, then at Tennessee, which might be a fun game to go to. Then home against Tampa Bay, and then home against Minnesota. If you guys didn't see, Tom Brady trademarked Tampa Bay. So, so the Lions again. That's Green Bay at home, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Minnesota at home, and Tennessee on the road to end the season. Those are all possible playoff teams, but they're all coming to Detroit except for Tennessee. And Patricia.
Tennessee is going to be a tough game.
3 out of 4 at home, baby. That is nice.
Hell yeah! And a possible NFC Championship preview with Tampa Bay and Detroit playing in Detroit.
Oh yeah, and it could be coming out of the division between Minnesota and the Lions too.
That's right. Yeah. It's gonna be weird them not even playing Green Bay. The last 5 years, the Lions play Green Bay at the end of the season. So
I know.
Yeah,
I don't think we took a single one of them.
No, we took a couple meaningless ones.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
We were out of the playoffs by that point, but
good, goody. Even the years when we were good and they were bad, they still beat us that last game. God.
I mean, what worries you guys? What would be your biggest concern, Bob, with the last part of the schedule here?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I believe in the whole Tampa Bay thing with Brady.
Oh yeah, they're overrated.
They do, but I mean they're going to be pretty good, and he's coming into a good situation there because they had a good offense already, which he didn't have in New England. But I think that the Vikings game is the one to circle. I think that's what it's going to come down to. But they're all going to be tough games. We're going to have to struggle through them, and but I like it that 3 or 4 are at home. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Rod Dog?
Concerns? I guess my main concern is that if Patricia and our new defensive coordinator haven't quite figured it out yet, I don't have any real concerns with any of these teams in particular. I think the Lions' main battles are going to be internal, and when they win them and sort them out, this team will be unstoppable.
UJ.
All right. I think the Vikings are definitely going to be the top one on this section here, and I don't want to sell short the Titans either. Titans are going to be a good team. They're going to be a tough one, especially in their home field. So I'd say out of those 4, those 2 of the games worry me the most. Tampa, I'm really honestly if Brady is still alive by that point, I don't know if he will be, but even if he is, I think we beat Tampa for sure. And the Packers, I think they'll be a ghost of themselves by that point of the season. So I think we beat them too. I say those 2 games, the Titans and the Vikings are the ones. If I'm gonna be worried, those are the 2 games that concern me the most.
Yeah, well, why the Titans? Is it Mike Vrabel and the familiarity with Patricia?
Yeah,
the
well,
run
look at
game
them
that they
last
have?
year. How tough they were. They got a great running game, big offensive line. They
Yeah,
got
they had
studs
a
in the
good playoff run
trenches,
too.
and that's what I like. That's what I like about them, and that's what I like about what we're doing with this team. We're building the trenches, and those are the teams that are going to be the toughest to beat, like the Niners last year. But them Titans are going that route too. I mean, they had a great running back last year, but they're just good in the trenches. You know, teams like that scare me more than other teams with flashy players. The trenches scare me more than anything. If you got good trenches, you're going to be a decent team. So that's why those teams worry me the most at that point.
Yeah, Connor, wrap it up here. What do you think about this last part of the schedule?
I mean, yeah, Vikings, like that's going to be the tough test. I also have a lot of respect for the Titans as well. I think they're just a really well-run organization, and I think everyone was a little surprised by their playoff run, but I would say definitely the Vikings is going to be that test. If we're still in it at that point and we win that game, I'll have a lot of faith in Patricia after that.
And since you said a well-run organization for the Titans, I just want to give a shout-out to the new president of the Titans. He is a former Illinois Wesleyan grad. So a shout-out to him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo.
Nice.
Well, how about that?
Shout out to my alma mater on that one.
So
All
how
right,
do you
gentlemen.
do?
So there's one more thing I want to bring up before our predictions, and that's just the thought of, so even if the season starts, there is this potential where for instance, the Lions play the first home game of the season against the Bears, but there's a very, very good chance the season starts off with no fans in the stands. But what if by, December, when we go to Chicago, fans are allowed in the stands? Is that an unfair advantage, or is that just something that they're going to have to deal with?
That's
Deal with
something
it.
they're going to have to deal with. They're going to let fans in the moment they can at these stadiums. And if it works out in our favor, great, because we have a lot of home games at the end. But if not, oh well. Like, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, they're going to have to deal with it. I mean, both teams are under the same things. I mean, I guess there's an unfair advantage if your home crowd is there with you, and when you're playing at home, or I mean, whatever, the opposite. But everyone's going to have to deal with it. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Chargers played well in front of an empty stadium for years, so it can be done.
Nice.
It will be nice if the Lions do play an empty Lambeau Field, because we won't hear that "Go Pack Go" shit going on.
Yeah.
In the stand.
I'm sure they'll simulate it. They probably have
And then-
recordings of it or some shit.
I'd rather
When
hear
they
it
jump into the
fade-
crowd, like nobody's going to catch them. They're just going to fall over.
I'd rather hear it fade into insignificance as we grind their throats into the ground. But that's the way I feel.
Wow.
No, it's very graphic.
Kids, be careful. Don't listen to this podcast. Violent.
Violent
drinking-
football is a violent
Never
sport
mind.
played by violent men.
All right. So
True.
now we're gonna finish up this preview with a way too early prediction. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go around and give our way too early predictions for the upcoming NFL season for our Detroit Lions. So let's start off the camera with Connor. Man, what's your prediction for this season after seeing the schedule completely released?
I'm feeling pretty good. I really like the draft, and the only thing about the schedule I'm really mad about is the early bye. I think we're gonna really surprise some people this year, and I think there's no question marks there. I'm not at all worried about his sacks. I think we're gonna go 12-4, and we're gonna sweep all our division games.
Oh, so
Wow.
6-0 in the NFC North, huh?
Yes, I think
All right.
so.
I like
I
it.
can
You're
live with
drinking the
that.
Kool-Aid. I like it. So
Oh yeah, it's flowing.
let's go over to you, Jay.
Okay. Well, when I was drinking the Kool-Aid, my prediction came out 16-0. However, I decided to be, a little more sober in this prediction. So I let the Kool-Aid wear off, and then I went over the schedule again. And I have us finishing 11-5. I have us losing to Green Bay in the second game of the season, because I think Green Bay will be good in the beginning, but they're going to fade as the season goes on. I have us losing one game that we shouldn't lose, and that's the Colts. I have us losing 2 to the Vikings. I don't know why, but that's just the way it came out. And then I have us losing 1 to the Bears in Chicago. That's our 5 losses. I have us winning all the rest of the games, making us 11-5, definitely in the playoffs, if not division winners. But it's going to be tight between us and the Vikings, I think. I think the Packers will fade as the season goes on. I think they'll be relegated to 3rd place, and the Bears will bring up the rear. I think we are neck and neck in the division with the Vikings, 11-5.
So in that scenario, the Lions probably lose to the Vikings in the division because they lost to them twice in the season.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what the Vikings do during their season too. So I don't know. Just the way it came out in my prediction. So that's it. That's all I can say.
All right, and I should throw out there again. The NFL playoffs have been expanded, so there's 7 teams from each conference make it now.
Yeah.
So there's that little extra, maybe 9-7 sneaks in where it didn't before.
Or 8-8 for that matter.
Or 8-8, or any record that would be a 7th place. Rud Dog, let's go to you, man.
This is a tough one, mainly because it's really hard to find any games I think we'll lose. I said 12.
That's always the toughest part is finding the losses.
It is. It's really hard.
You got it. You can do this.
Oh,
We all believe in you. You can make a prediction.
All right.
We'll
You
wait.
can do it.
I think the Lions are gonna go 13-3. Their 3 losses are gonna be at Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah, it's just an away game against an inferior team that might surprise us.
We're going to lose at the goal line at the end?
Yeah.
Just short.
The half-inch line.
It might be. They're going to blow the Wiz the play dead because they thought he was in, and then don't remind me.
All right, so 13-3.
Yeah, and then I think we'll lose to I don't see that's the problem is I don't think we're going to lose, but I think Carolina late in the season and Tennessee late in the season for our 3 losses.
Wow.
But just because they're away games against decent teams and
Carolina would be a bad loss.
Yeah, but it happens.
In our way too early predictions, Carolina will be bad at this point.
Yeah, they'll probably be like undefeated when they play us, so it'll be understandable. All
right.
13-3. There you go.
All right, Bob, what do you got, man?
All right. Well, the one game I fear is the clash of the Titans. And I don't mean the Tennessee Titans. I'm talking about the Cardinals, Lions, the Titans, the teams that battle every year. This could be another tie,
Oh, no.
So it could be 15-0-1. But I'm drinking the blue Kool-Aid on this. And with the Lions are going to be awesome. Stafford's going to be back. DeAndre Swift's going to be tearing up the league, rookie of the year. Okuda's going to be defensive rookie of the year. This and Galladay, forget it. He's going to lead the league in everything. So 16-0.
Get it.
16-0 heading into the playoffs. So
Wow. He said it out loud.
Ah, damn it. You make me feel weak, Bob. I gave in to realism and all that bullshit.
Go Lions.
Just because you threw it out there, DeAndre Swift 12-1 win Rookie of the Year, 7-1 for Okuda to win Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Hey, has any team ever had the Rookies of the Year in offense and defense? Has that ever happened?
I don't know off the top of my head. I would have
Why not?
for the next episode.
It'll happen this year.
Z?
And then
We got to be
MVP
primed better than most
Stafford,
teams
so.
to get it.
Wait, hold on. What was that, UJ? You go
I
first.
said, you know everything, Z. You know all these stats. You're our stat guy. Has this ever happened before?
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head on that one, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. We should
All
ask
right.
our producer.
We will have to do that. We will have to. Maybe we'll have him inserted here. But
Okay.
so my prediction right now is I'm sitting at 10-6. That's what I have the Lions getting into playoffs with that record. But
Drink
Bob's looking at
more
his
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid, not
Drink
understanding.
more Kool-Aid.
I definitely think they'll have a couple games on the road where they struggle. I do think the Saints at home, that one's going to be a really tough one for them to pull off. I think that their offense for the Saints matches up really well against, at least what the Lions did last year on defense. So I see that one as a struggle. But overall, I see this team really improving. And I see like 500 at the beginning of the season and finishing strong near the end of the season.
Hey, Z, when that Saints game comes up, I predict you will pick the Lions to win that week.
Guys,
It probably will.
Wow. Early predictions.
That's a bold
Early
prediction.
predictions about our later predictions.
Yeah.
I have a suspicion if we go week by week, we're probably going to predict the Lions win every week. But that's my idea.
that's a bold prediction, Connor.
That's crazy talk.
I have something to go back real quick. Craziness. You asked the question, has one team ever had offensive rookie and defensive rookie of the year? Guess which was the first team to do it?
The Lions.
The Detroit Lions. It was Lem Barney and Mel Farr in the same year.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh, wow.
It was like
Whoa.
It was 51 years before it was replicated again by Lattimore and Alvin Kamara.
I thought it was the Saints that did it.
Oh my God. That's
Isn't
awesome.
that crazy?
I was gonna say it too.
That's-
Awesome.
That is
Nice.
awesome.
That is awesome, though. So, Rud Dog,
Oh.
stat guy over there.
Rud Dog.
Barney
pulling
and
out the
Mel
stats.
Farr. Oh, baby.
That's stack
By the way,
central over here.
Okuda should wear number 20.
Okuda?
Yeah,
Ah,
Okuda
good.
should wear number
I-
20.
it's kind of conflicting whether or not it's retired. I read somewhere recently that it actually is retired, so I don't know. Like they said,
It's not literally retired, I don't think.
I know.
But
That's
it's
why-
basically retired, yeah.
In like 2004, they had all three 20s, Lem Barney, Billy Sims, and Barry Sanders at a ceremony at Ford Field. I was looking it up the other day. But, yeah, so I don't know. But, yeah, if he could, I would love to see it. But, hey, Okuda and Swift as rookies of the year, co-rookies of the year for offense,
I like it.
defense.
Yeah.
Ooh, baby.
That'd be
That's
awesome.
sweet.
All right, so I think that's going to wrap it up for us here. We all the Lions get in the playoffs at least, and we're all predicting Super Bowl, right?
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, that's obvious. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's just assumed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Making sure the Kool-Aid was going down the right pipe there. So.
Yeah.
All right, so this has been our first recording on Zoom. So even if you're not seeing the video posted, hopefully the podcast still turned out okay for you. And
How can you not love
see.
these mugs?
So what we're gonna do just stay tuned on what we're gonna be doing going forward here to fill up the summer months, especially we don't even have OTAs or anything to talk about. So we're gonna try to get creative with our content here. And I hopefully present an idea to our crew, so we're gonna probably test run it before we actually say what we're gonna do. But so just stay tuned to what we're gonna do. I want to thank everybody for listening too. We had our draft grade podcast. Our last one was our biggest episode ever. So this thing is growing
Astronomically.
which is really
Yeah.
cool. So
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
We
thanks for
love
listening.
you.
yeah, and I just want to thank everybody for listening. What you can do, please follow us on Instagram at Drinking a Blue Kool-Aid. Follow us on Twitter at Drinking Lions. Please subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That we can really use any sort of feedback possible. We also have an email now too. You can email us at. So if you have any questions or if you want to get in contact with us, maybe we can bring you on to the podcast and talk about the Lions as well. We'd also appreciate that. So it's Drinking the Blue Kool-Aid at gmail.com. Very simple. It doesn't get more simple than that, really. There's no space between the Kool-Aid either. It's Koolaid. No hyphen or anything like that. So we'll have that information and stuff on our social media as well. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Really appreciate it. Stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have some good a good product here to give you in the next few months to entertain you, to fill that Detroit Lions void here in the summer months, especially while we are still quarantined. But we want to thank everybody for listening. We really appreciate it. And last but not least, gentlemen, as always,
Go.